Welcome to this demonstration video of the Crosswork Workflow Manager version 1.0. In this video you will see the execution of a workflow that will initially instantiate a virtual router on Amazon's EC2 platform. It will then register the instantiated router with the Crosswork Network Controller and the Network Services Orchestrator systems, and finally it will initiate a connection with the vRouter and then pull its configuration into an SO. In other words, it will perform a sync from. The workflow executes a series of activities, performs some validation checks, all whilst notifying the requester via a WebEx space throughout the entire process. Workflows in Crosswork Workflow Manager are defined by using the serverless workflow domain-specific language. The language is an open source specification that defines functions, states, activities, and other components, all needed to formally specify a workflow. Workflows can be defined either in JSON or YAML, but can only be consumed in JSON format for the current Crosswork Workflow Manager version. The workflows at this point are authored as ASCII files by using an editor of your choice. The one shown here is Visual Studio Code that offers a particular extension to better visualize your workflow rather than viewing them simply in JSON or YAML. The extension is available via the Visual Studio Marketplace. The visual side panel seen here on the right allows one to quickly navigate the code by clicking on any activity of interest, thus jumping to the relevant code section, whilst Visual Studio caters for all the syntactical correctness. In this view, one can explore the workflow in its entirety from start to end. It should be noted that this is an example workflow to illustrate Crosswork Workflow Manager's capabilities and could benefit from many more checks and balances. We initially log into the Crosswork Workflow Manager, where we can review the workflows currently registered with a product. The right parts of the screen offer a view into a WebEx space used for notifications throughout the demo, along with the window at the top right of the screen that constantly shows the network devices registered within the Network Services Orchestrator. In the Workflows panels, we can filter the workflows to help identify the one we wish to launch. But prior to launching our workflow, let's take a quick look at what the involved systems currently look like. In EC2, we note that there are no instances running. In Crosswork's Network Controller, the total device count is 7, which can also be validated in the topology viewer. In the Network Services Orchestrator, we can also verify that the currently number of devices is 7, just like within CNC. We are ready to begin executing our workflow. Our workflow requires a number of input parameters, that provide details about the type of EC2 instance we intend to launch, which Crosswork's Network Control and Network Services Orchestrator systems will be used for the registration, along with the WebEx space that we should forward any notifications. In Crosswork's Workflow Manager, runtime workflow executions are known as jobs. Upon instantiating a job, we begin to see notifications in the WebEx room, and as we navigate the various systems user interfaces, we note our device begins to appear. For device identification, we are using the EC2 generated device ID. In Crosswork's Workflow Manager, we can look into the workflow activities by expanding on the job that we just launched. Each row represents a workflow activity, or Crosswork Workflow Management administrative task that is required to fulfill the workflow definition. We can expand on any activity and review the relevant data pertinent to the activity. Each activity has a set of data acting as input, and each activity produces a set of data as output. Input data might have been provided as input to the job or produced by the job as it executes the various activities. By observing the WebEx space, we receive updates on the job's progress. Upon completion of the job, we can validate in NSO that the new router is reachable and it has been synced. This new router is now ready to receive the additional configurations in the form of NSO templates or network services. We can continue running the current workflow as needed. Every new workflow execution will in turn instantiate a new job that will perform the exact same activities as specified by the workflow definition. As before, the job will process the input data along with any data produced by the various activities and will eventually create a new virtual router that will be registered with our infrastructure. This concludes our short demo on Cisco's Crosswork Workflow Manager version 1.0. Thank you.